YouTube. So it is on our public access channels, which are Comcast 54, Frontier 24, and through someone's phone, we are also putting this meeting on Facebook Live. So if you go to the Fort Wayne Community School site on Facebook, you will be able to watch on Facebook Live, and you can also comment, I believe. We will, as we do every meeting, with the assistance of Tom, have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance,
to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic
for which
it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yay.
Goodness, we don't have to sing.
And roll call of members, pretend like you're sitting at the board table.
All right. Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District, and I am in the 5th District this evening.
And I'm Glenna Yale, representing the 2nd District.
I'm Tom Smith, representing the 3rd District.
I'm Maria Norman, member at large.
I'm Ann Duff, member at large.
And I'm Julie Hollingsworth, elected from the 1st District. And so we're joined by our superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson.
Good evening.
And the clerk of the board, Janet Doherty.
No.
And you will also be seeing various other staff members as we go through our agenda. So we have no awards and recognitions for this meeting. That brings us to the consent agenda. Those are items that come to us every meeting. They include the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. They include vouchers and payroll, vouchers for the period ending April 17th, payroll for the periods ending March 13th, March 27th, and April 10th, and then also the personnel report. And all board members have seen all of these items. So do we have a motion and a second?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move approval of the 3 items listed under the consent agenda: the approval of minutes, voucher and payroll, and personnel report.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Thank you, Tom. All those voting for approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Dr. Robinson, was there anything on the personnel report you wanted to mention?
Not at this time, but I would like to mention that we are actively involved in administrative placements. Informed board members of 4 of them today, and we'll be at the next board meeting filling quite a few administrative positions, including administrative interns. So that should be completed.
And are we also, Dr. Robinson, doing other types of hiring at this time?
Absolutely. Principals are knee-deep involved in teacher hirings. Obviously, we didn't have an opportunity for anything like a job fair. We hadn't planned on it. Individual teachers are applying to postings. And so principals have been this week and next week, and it'll be for a couple of weeks. So we are actively filling teacher positions also.
And any classified postings out there that anyone might be interested in applying for?
We always have them. We have never been fully staffed at classified. So just we would encourage people to look at our website and continue to apply. But those positions really aren't really sought out right now because people, I guess, aren't interested as much because we're not in session. But thanks for asking. I'd encourage people to still apply.
Well, and keep us in mind, as summer rolls around and fall is right around the corner after that, keep us in mind. Okay, so we have no old business. That brings us to new business. And first on the agenda is the technology report. So our technology director, Jack Bird, is going to provide a report on the status of the Fort Wayne Community School technology plan. Jack?
President Hollingsworth, members of the school board, Dr. Robinson, good evening. Tonight, I would like to share with you the status of the 5-year technology plan. During this, I should share my screen too. During the spring of 2016, the level technology coordinators were moved to the technology and curriculum departments. This move created a better environment in which a cohesive district-wide technology plan could be created. As a result, a 5-year technology plan was created that resulted in all FWCS students receiving a device. A purchasing plan was created as part of this process that identified the annual budget and funding sources to support the technology plan. To help infuse technology in the classroom, the plan called for the selection of foundational software, including a learning management system, or better known as an LMS, an assessment suite, and an assessment suite. Additionally, interactive software tools like the G Suite tools, Pear Deck, and Kami were eventually purchased to amplify our written curriculum. It should be noted that while some districts select either Microsoft MS365 or Google's G Suite, FWCS has the infrastructure and technical staff to support, thereby giving teachers a plethora of online tools. The vision developed by the committee is Fort Wayne Community Schools will be a school district where technology is used equitably to extend, excuse me, I'm tripling over my words tonight, to expand and amplify our students' educational experience in a supported and reliable manner. This vision emphasizes that technology is not to be an end unto itself, but something that adds to the pedagogy. It has to be something that works. If the tool becomes too complicated or defective, it will detract from learning. The mission developed by the committee is based on the district's mission. Technology will be used to support the district in educating all students to high standards, enabling them to become productive, responsible citizens. To do this, the technology must be universal, available to all students, and practical so that it is a part of students' everyday experience as it is in their current world and will be in their future world. The guiding principles used in the development of the plan were based on the triple P. Data was used to be precise in determining student and teacher need. Emphasis was given to the personalization of learning for both teachers and students. Professional learning for teachers was viewed as paramount and a recurring action item. The global competencies, formerly known as 21st century skills, were used as the foundation of all action items. And the district's learning designs and instructional framework provided the blueprints to be used in the planning. The resulting goals were, number one, all students will have universal access to technology for anytime, anywhere learning. This addresses the necessity of eliminating the digital gap by making technology available to all students. Number two, technology in the classroom will be standards-based. This ensures that technology will be used properly so that it does not distract or become a seldom used curiosity, but it is used to amplify learning. Number three, technology will provide personalized instruction that is intuitively responsive, gives immediate feedback, and is engaging. Technology needs to help teachers differentiate instruction and provide them data in a timely manner so they can adjust their instruction. Above all, technology should make instruction riveting so that students want to learn. Technology can break down barriers, even during the COVID-19 restrictions. You can visit faraway places, take virtual train trips, or visit the solar system and beyond. Number 4, communication will be timely, pertinent, and personalized. This includes communication to all stakeholders, students, parents, and community members. And number 5, establish and maintain effective and efficient operations. This is the heart of it all. You must have a solid and reliable infrastructure to make all this happen. With this school year, we have begun incorporating the aspects of deep learning into our technology initiatives. Leveraging digital is one of the 4 elements of learning. When technology is appropriately used in instruction, it amplifies learning by helping create memorable experiences, or, as Dr. Folan states, sticky learning. Therefore, we are concentrating on providing those tools that will augment learning by allowing students to explore, experiment, and experience the world in ways that were only dreamt of just a few years ago. To make this plan a reality, we examined our funding sources and developed a 5-year purchasing plan. The 2 main funding sources we have for purchasing classroom technology are the School Technology Advancement Account, or STAA, and the Common School Fund, or CSF. We receive STAA at the beginning of every school year and CSF once in the fall and again in the spring. Tonight, the spring application is being recommended for approval. To meet our 5-year technology goals, we needed to purchase 4,800 student laptops, 1,800 iPads, and 625 staff laptops. We also need to equip our classrooms with audiovisual equipment at 305 classrooms per year. Audiovisual equipment includes a projector or monitor, a wireless projection device, and sound amplification. Projectors were standardized on for elementary schools since elementary teachers love their wall space, while monitors were standardized on for secondary schools. The wireless projection device allows teachers and students to connect to the projector or monitor without having to be tethered to the front of the room. Sound amplification usually consists of Bluetooth speakers, again forgoing the need to be tethered. Since the fall of 2016, we have purchased 18,500 Lenovo 11E laptops for students in grades 3 through 12, and 5,500 iPads for students in grades K through 2. These purchases supplemented equipment already in use, resulting in FWCS having 20,000 student laptops and 9,000 student iPads. It should be noted that there are still some iPads being used at secondary schools, as a provision was made that if the curriculum requires iPads, they could continue being used in the classroom. In February, Cabinet decided to accelerate the 5-year purchasing plan by recommending that we complete our one-to-one device goal by purchasing 700 Lenovo 11E laptops for students. This purchase is being recommended to the board this evening. Other steps we have taken to accelerate the 5-year plan is purchasing filtering software that is installed on student devices that operates off FWCS's network. Additional computer carts are being purchased to store student computers, along with integrated help desk and inventory management software that allows devices to be checked out to students. Currently, FWCS uses Follett's Destiny system. This software, however, with the help desk and problem tracking features, it was seen as advantageous and necessary to move to it. Finally, we will be purchasing computer book bags for secondary students to help protect the laptops as they are transported to their classes. This fall, we need to address issues surrounding students taking computers home. The biggest issue we face is over 30% of our households do not have internet access. That translates to approximately 6,000 households. We have started looking at options by talking with local carriers, including Verizon and Comcast. The proposals we have at this point range from $1 million per year to $3 million. Some have suggested adopting a fixed antenna approach. However, with the geographical range area covering only 100 yards, it's not looking like a viable option. We need to investigate offering optional device insurance for families. Currently, if a student breaks a device, the school or family is responsible for replacing the device, as our current technology budget is not sufficient to support beyond a 2% breakage rate. The optional insurance would provide assistance in this situation. We also need to look at using textbook fees to help fund technology and offset this. We need to investigate e-learning. This is different from the remote learning that we are currently doing. E-learning will require the addition of supplemental resources and ensuring that there is consistency in the presentation of the curriculum across the classrooms in the LMS. Then the plan will need to be filed with the state for approval. We also need to look at replacing our current learning management system. Our current LMS, PowerSchool Learning, has been replaced by PowerSchool with Schoology. While we can continue to use PowerSchool Learning for the upcoming school year, PowerSchool is encouraging all of its existing clients to migrate to Schoology. We will also look at the possibility of using a simplified LMS like Seesaw or Google Classroom at the elementary level. We need to determine the take-home format. Do students take their device home every night? Do they take them home only when e-learning will be necessary? This has an impact on charging and storage. If students will take their devices home from time to time, as opposed to every night, we will need additional power supplies. One for the student when they take the device home, and one for the storage cart when the device is left at school. The cost for an additional power supply runs between $30 and $40 per device, or an additional $144,000 to $192,000 per year. We will need to look at adding a theft deterrent option to our computers. This is a feature that is in the computer's firmware and it reports its location. We have talked to other districts that have used this feature, like Cincinnati Public Schools. They did not see that the cost outweighed the benefits, however. Finally, we need to look into purchasing computer bags for all students. Last, but certainly not least, is professional learning. We will need to provide professional learning for teachers on e-learning best practices. We need to provide professional learning for parents on accessing learning materials in the LMS. And we will also need to instruct students on how to access those materials and also proper online etiquette. I hope this provided the board an overview of where we are, where we were, and where we are going concerning student technology. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Jack, I did have a question. You mentioned the power supply or the cords for students, and you said 144,000 to 192,000, and you said per year. Is that something that when we get to the 5-year lifespan of the device that we would need to then purchase additional power supplies, or why is that a yearly cost that we're incurring?
Well, that's based on purchasing 4,800 computers per year at $30 to $40 per power supply. The problem with the power supplies is, and if you have any sort of technology, you know they change the connections. So the power supply that you had 3 years ago won't work on your new computer. We're facing that with the current generation of Lenovo's that we're purchasing. They've changed the power supply hookup.
And then, oh, sorry, I had an additional question. So if we needed to, as a district, purchase those power supplies for our entire district to be ready to go this fall, and I estimated high just because I'm coming up with $1.2 million just on power cords.
Yeah, it'd be very significant.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
I think, Maria, you hit on something.
Yeah.
And this is also something that we had talked when we were talking about officers. Technology changes so quickly. The reason we have a 5-year plan is that pretty much by the time we get through a 5-year cycle, what we bought 5 years ago is almost obsolete and it's not powerful enough to run the programs. So Jack does a really good job of building in some of those costs. But we've also talked, and this was something I think Julie mentioned, you know, what do we do with the computers after they really we've used their shelf life here. So that'll be a part of the planning too. So basically we're pushing this a year forward. When Jack talked about in February, we already knew we weren't going to have enough computers. And so we at least started to buy the 700. But all this other stuff is almost a year earlier than we knew we had to deal with. And those are some significant costs. So hopefully, as Jack presents this later, we'll talk about, are there funds that we're going to get from the federal government because of the COVID? Are there kinds of flexibilities that'll let us implement this? That's not really a conversation we're trying to have tonight. I just wanted you to get an overview of when we start talking about how much this is costing, you get an idea of the magnitude of how big it is and all the things that we have to connect to it.
Okay.
I have a question, Jack. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, can someone please tell me, Jack or someone else, how we're doing today, this week, in connecting teachers to students? Do we have any idea the percentage of teachers connecting to students and how frequent?
There's an expectation for that. We sent you some material. Every teacher has to be on their LMS 3 days a week, but every day they have office hours. They're keeping logs. And part of the issue we're trying to track is when the governor announced that there was no more school for the rest of the year, we had some kids who left town. So we're really trying to collect data to see how many kids that amount that left totals, but we are tracking every single day the connections that teachers are having with students. Those that are not online, there's an expectation to call. We're even trying to connect kids that know where somebody might have moved or knows how to get a phone number. So the priority, Steve, is teachers are expected to log that. We're getting ready to do some significant work with special ed students because the federal government is acting like we're still in school. So the trying to connect with kids is the primary job of the teachers, whether they're online or not, Steve. And that's been monitored every day.
Thank you. I think board members received an email from a parent who talked about paper packets being delayed with a printing problem. I don't know if that was the case or not, but could you update us and those listening to the meeting where we are with distribution of paper packets?
Paper packets, which is why we didn't start off this way, are a monumental process. And when you look at 30,000 students, and here's an interesting tidbit, even students and parents who have access are now requesting the packets. So when you start increasing the volume, because even if they're online, they want the packet, we're looking at providing tens of thousands. We also connected it to the curriculum work that was previously done online so that there's some kind of alignment across the district. So whether you're online or on in the packet, teachers, when they're calling kids or looking at their work online, there's some kind of organization. So we just didn't want to slap things together and take screenshots and send out things. We wanted to actually connect to the curriculum and the massive printing. The other thing we're running into is there are safety issues as to how you're going to mail them. We're actually mailing these because you can't have kids picking them up at lunch. There's so many other things with the COVID virus. You also can't guarantee that the kids are going to come to lunch to pick them up. So when you involve mailing and sorting to make them grade level appropriate, our intent is by the end of the week, and Lori and Print Service Curriculum Department have done a masterful job. But we're trying to provide for every grade level. We're not going to have some for some of those higher level courses because that's a lot of writing of curriculum that by the time we get it written, the summer will be here. But the intent is, and I always hate to say a date because something could happen with printing, but our intent is by the end of this week, the beginning of the week at least. But here's also the other flaw in that. we're going to have to bring staff into schools to sort them and then put them in packets and then get them down to the mail room. So, I know people don't want to hear that, but when you start trying to service 30,000 kids and people that really even are online want the packets, it's increased the number that we're doing. But within this week, those are going to be mailed because that's the only way that we know that we can actually guarantee that people are going to get them.
And irrespective of what district students are attending, what I'm beginning to understand is that there is no substitute for a teacher.
Absolutely.
And irrespective, again, it's that human touch. I've talked to my brother who's a teacher, and he has hours 3 days a week. Nobody connects with him. And this is going to be difficult. I also appreciate the investigation that Jack had with respect to trying to create our own internet system, and it's really too expensive for us, for Fort Wayne Community Schools. We are really going to have to figure out a community solution so that we can connect every student, every family. But it's got to involve more than just the district. So not a good solution, an answer for parents who are frustrated now, but this is a tough one. This is a real tough one.
Well, but here's the other thing. I hope the board, and you have always supported teachers. We can't even tell you all the ways teachers have connected with kids. From the day that we knew on a Thursday we were leaving on a Friday, teachers have been connecting even before we told them what we expected for them to do. They're worried about their kids. It's more than just the academic and the package. It's, anytime I'm having a conversation with somebody, they're worried about whether they're eating. They're worried about, what's going to be the gap. They're out for a quarter. And so one of the things we've started looking at with the curriculum department and special ed and all of those people, what were we supposed to do fourth quarter? What are we supposed to be doing at the beginning of the year, whenever the beginning of the year is? God knows we don't know what that is. And what can we even do with some of our community partners this summer? But parents can rest assured that when school starts, we're not going to act and forget fourth quarter. And with the NWEA that we've talked about, we've got to have an assessment for parents that really kind of says, well, they really didn't miss this skill, and this skill is going to be picked up here. But we're also not going to replay fourth quarter for half a year, or else we're going to be perpetually behind. So it's more than just the packets. The presentation tonight is to let you know, just getting the hardware is only the first step. And so it's easy. No, it's not easy even with 500 kids in your district. 30,000, even when kids have devices. Some of the phones kids have aren't powerful enough. And if there is a phone at home, if the parent goes to work, and a lot of our parents are still working, the phone goes with the parent. So one of the things I think this conversation needs to make us all aware of, even when we get back, education won't be the same. We have so many different things we've got to think about as a board, and know that we as an administration, that's what we're working on now.
Yeah, and and learning going forward shouldn't be like it was yesterday.
No.
If there was one piece of advice that I would give you and your team, is that I think we need to increase the frequency of our communication. And I'm not talking about a 10-page thesis. If it's 30 or 45 seconds of information as to what you're doing, who you're talking to, or your team is talking to, I think our parents would appreciate it. So if we could do that, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah, one of the unsung heroes in this whole process has been our Fort Wayne help desk. And Jack will tell you, we've had 5 people who really have never left that building. And what they're getting are parents, some of the highest volume are for grandparents. So when I looked at the professional learning and said, we've got to help parents, even when people have devices, they don't quite know how to use them to the best advantage for learning. So we can never communicate enough, but we do have ways that people can actually call. The frustration is, and I think this is a good thing, those of us who are recovering teachers, I think what people are finding, teaching is not easy. And there's an art and a science to it. And so part of the need for the packets is parents don't know how to put all this stuff together. And we've actually had some people tell us we almost have too much on our website. They don't know where to start with some of it. So, right, Steve, we can always communicate more. But at the same time, you're trying to create what people ask you for, which is also a massive undertaking. So point taken, but I hope this makes some sense for you to see where you're going. I won't be here by the time it gets ready, but I want the board to know you will have options. Now, the only fly in the ointment, and this is a small one, but it could be massive. Everybody's trying to do e-learning. So Jack is saying that we're running into problems getting hardware. So the only thing that would stop us from being ready in the fall is if suppliers can't meet the demand. Because a lot of people are using COVID money now. We're not the only ones without technology. And so, Jack, am I stating that properly?
You are, Dr. Robinson.
Yeah.
So I have just one question and a comment. Are the packets on our website, I mean, could a parent or someone go to our website and print them themselves?
They are connected to Jennifer's, and I'll get, Tracy, are you on? They are embedded in the lessons on the website. So I don't want to say that, yes, you can go there and print them yourself.
Okay.
But I will get that answer and we'll have it posted.
I know teachers have access. I can check and make sure and find out if we posted them to the external website for parents to access. I can check that and let you know.
Right. Easy to do.
Okay. And Jack, and I don't know who put this together, but I have heard very good things from some teachers about the tutorials that have been put together, because, a lot of this was new to teachers too.
Absolutely.
And it came, boom, we were distance learning. I mean, boom. But I have heard very good things about the tutorials we have provided for teachers to get more comfortable with, some of the things that we're doing. So my question is, maybe going forward, we might also be thinking of putting together tutorials for parents to be able to access from our website as how can I use the LMS? What information, will I find on it? That kind of thing. I mean, I know we try to reach parents like at back to school nights and things like that, but any place I think we can put information like that is going to be beneficial. One other comment: would it be accurate to say that beginning the next school year, we will have enough devices to be one-to-one, but we still are working on the policy of when students will take devices home and which students will take devices home?
Correct.
Is that an accurate statement?
It is.
Okay.
It is, but let me add something to that. One of the things that we got lots of criticism for was not being ready and not having e-learning. The other districts had a running start because they practiced it for 3 to 4 years. E-learning is not a new concept. And so they had a process for what happened, and most of it was used for weather delay. So one of the most important things from tonight's presentation, I hope parents take away, is Jack, our PL department, our curriculum department, our PTAs. If kids are not comfortable using technology every single day, they're going to struggle if we send it home with them to do a process. So to that point, Julie, then the parents have to know how to support what the kids have to know. So it's almost this, and then the teachers have to know how to use technology every day so it's not some foreign object for everybody at the home. So what we're working on right now is, how's the curriculum going to pick up losing a quarter? How's the technology going to go side by side with this picking up the quarter? How are kids and staff and parents going to be comfortable enough? And I don't want people thinking the only reason we did this was for e-learning. The reason we did it is because kids are going to learn differently, and teachers and kids have to be comfortable enough we don't know if we're going to have another pandemic. It might be more than just a snow day. And so as a part of this rollout, we're going to give you 3 different ways. There may be 4 that these can be used. But I like that you said, it doesn't mean every day a computer's coming home. Because if there's not a purpose for it in the learning, the other thing we have to investigate, and it's not on the table right now, we got too many things on the table, is does technology replace some of the textbooks? We're not quite there yet, but this is a part of this tech plan too. How do we stop using textbooks and then truly technology is integrated into the curriculum? So all good points.
I'd like to ask a quick question. I've had a couple parents who've been a little less than happy with their experience so far, wondering whether it's through the packets or whether it's through the LMS, how are the students going to have accountability, or is it just busy work? Because they've been not real impressed with the types of assignments the kids have been receiving so far. And I imagine it's now that you've had a chance to align it with the curriculum and put the packets together that the assignments going forward are going to be meaningful. But is there going to be any type of accountability or is it just going to be a packet that they can go through or not go through? Is it optional?
Okay, from the beginning, we prioritized which assignments we were going to grade. And those were the seniors and those juniors who were involved in courses. Seniors, first of all, to graduate. Seniors who were failing were, first of all, but then there's some seniors and juniors who were like in dual credit. Kids over at Anthus who were trying to get certifications that if they weren't able to complete, some of it was seat time, some of it was getting a certain score, some of it was completing testing. So we prioritized giving them technology because when everybody had the same type of technology and the same curriculum, you can grade it. Now, grading becomes an issue if everybody doesn't have the same materials to start with. And if you have a class of 30 and 15 kids had a packet or had online, the other 15 don't, then what do you do with the grades? So when we first started, we didn't think we were going to be out till May 28th. We thought this was a shorter term period. Mm-hmm. And I still support the fact people can call the packets whatever they want. What we're hearing from parents is that they need something. They're not teachers, but it was never intended for us to give packets that were going to be collected and graded, because the only way you can do that safely is online. Because if you're going to try to collect packets, then you have all the safety issues with the COVID virus. So people, they don't have to take, we're mailing them. I've heard that if they're not being graded, kids don't want to do them. Well, either you want me to give you some materials that you could use with your kids at home, but we prioritized and told people from the beginning, it was seniors and those juniors involved in classes that they had to get certifications, and we didn't want them to lose a complete whole year. So people are still going to be unhappy, Glenna, because we're not going to try to grade packets if half the first graders don't even get one or return one. What's the equity in that part?
Well, the equity is our district is going to be behind every other district in our county. Because
I wouldn't say that. Because at the beginning of this conversation, I talked about what we're going to do with our curriculum to look at what we missed fourth quarter, and then look at what we have to do at the beginning of the year. Our district's not like every district in this county. And when you have the number of people we have without access to technology, we create a system of have and have nots. So the intent of the packets was remote learning. E-learning has a technology aspect where you can grade.
Okay, and then I have a quick question for Jack. Jack, a couple parents have been concerned about the type of Wi-Fi speed. Do we have 5G? Has it been installed in our buildings?
No, the issue has been 5G cellular. We are not installing 5G cellular in our buildings.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Before we
Can I just
move
say
on,
one more thing?
Yeah.
Please give our teachers. People are nervous and frustrated, and I always hear that people aren't happy. Well, you don't hear the other half of the people who are calling me and emailing me about what teachers are doing. What's making this work for us is the dedication of our teachers. And so we're working hard never to have our kids behind. We don't have internet access, but what we have is some of the greatest teachers in the district, in the area. And I can't tell you all the ways that those teachers are connecting with kids. So, you know, the proof will be in the pudding. We've told you the plan we have. We're going to use the NWEA to kind of assess where our kids, but we cannot and will not try to grade every piece of paper in those packets because there's no way we can do that safely unless it's online.
Can I add to that, if you are confused about what your expectations are for your kid with your teachers, get in contact with them, because I have a senior and we were, you know, as a family confused. Well, what does he have to do this? Does he have to do that? And I must say that our teachers have been very responsive. They've been doing an excellent job. One teacher has been every single day doing things with the kids. There's a theme every day, like pajama day, hat day, or whatever. I mean, just going above and beyond what he really needs to do. But anyway, I have contacted the teachers, and it's just been really helpful for us to get an understanding, because he does have Anthus and he is a senior. So what exactly does he need to do to get it done? So they've been very, very helpful.
And they have office hours every day.
and also remember, a lot of our teachers are parents and grandparents too. So, you know, not only are they continuing to do their jobs, but, you know, they may be dealing with e-learning for their own kids at home. So, I mean, shout out to all teachers across the country, because for many of them, this was, like I said, they did not think this was going to be part of their job description, but they have adapted and quickly.
They have. Thank you. Thanks, Jack.
Before we move on, just a reminder that we are on Comcast 54, we're on Frontier 24. We regret that we are unable to be on the YouTube channel live, but this is being recorded and will be posted later. We are, however, on Facebook Live. And I know some of you are asking questions, and it is being monitored by our public information officer, Krista Stockman, but she's only one person trying to reply to some of the questions. Although I see some other parents and teachers are also monitoring Facebook Live, and they are replying. So hopefully we're getting most of those questions answered. So now we move on to the next item on our agenda, and that is an application for a Common School Fund loan. And Maria, you're going to take that?
Yes. It is recommended that the board approve the application for an acceptance of an advancement from the Indiana Common School, or CFS, for educational technology equipment in the amount of $2 million. Advancements from the Common School Fund provide funds for school districts to purchase educational technology. The Fort Wayne Community Schools will use these monies to help fund the FWCS technology plan previously submitted to the state. Technology funds are currently insufficient to fund all technology needs of the school corporation. Funds are provided as a loan and are awarded to school corporations on the basis of assessed value per pupil. With low assessed value per pupil, corporations receiving funds before high assessed value corporations. FWCS therefore cannot be assured of receiving the requested advancement. Should the application be successful, funds will be budgeted in the debt service fund to repay this loan beginning in the year 2022. Interest on the loan is expected to be no more than 4% and is likely to be as low as 1%. Common School Fund advancements differ from school technology advancement account loans, which FWCS receives on an annual basis. Unlike CSF advancements, STAA advancements are given to all applying school corporations, regardless of their assessed value per pupil ranking. And Jack Bird is here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Maria.
No
So do we have a motion and a second?
I so move that we approve the technology. plan.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Glenna. Thanks, Steve. Any questions for Jack? Okay, so all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have purchase of Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11E laptops. Ann?
It is recommended that the board approve the purchase of 700 Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11E laptops from Process of Indianapolis for $313,810. The purchase of these laptops will complete the 5-year technology plan 1 year early. This will provide each Fortin Community School student with an available device. Fortin Community Schools was able to secure pricing that was below General Services Administration GSA pricing. Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below GSA pricing. Funding will come from the Education Fund. And questions can be addressed to Jack Bird.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thanks,
Second.
Maria. Thanks, Ann. Any questions?
Okay, so let me just ask, how many devices do we have sitting in our buildings right now if we only needed 700 more to complete our one-to-one?
It was in his PowerPoint.
We have,
Jack, can you quote those numbers?
we have 20,000 student laptops in our buildings right now.
Couldn't get any out to the students out there.
We put 400 computers out to students.
Okay, is that the seniors who are failing and the juniors?
Well, it's the seniors that were failing, and like Dr. Robbins has said, those juniors that needed course credit for CPE or dual credit.
Okay, but, and then we didn't have enough manpower to see if other students who might need technology could access some of it?
Okay, let me answer that question. If you look back at the goals for our technology plan, it's not just distributing devices. We had not been developing an e-learning plan where there was a curriculum for what you do at home with the device. We have been gathering how many of our families had access to internet to be able to use them. So instead of just sending home a device without a plan and a curriculum, because remember, we knew on Thursday we were leaving on Friday. So we created a curriculum for those kids who had access, and we made a decision not to just give devices without a plan for increasing learning. We hadn't planned to do packets, but as parents have asked, as we figured out ways in the last month or so. So I don't want it to be, we just chose not to send them home. There was no plan for what to do with them. There was no plan for how you collect them once you sent them. And if they're not tied to a curriculum where we're actually grading the materials, we're just sending them home without knowing who even had internet access to use them. So go back and review the plan. We tried to kind of talk through that. This was a year earlier than we planned to do it.
I'm just wondering why we wouldn't have allowed families who did have internet access, but maybe had several students and had to share their only device, a way to check a device out.
Okay, every device that was checked out had to go through a process. For over a week, Jack and the folks in technology were in the parking lot of Grile administration by the side door because for COVID reasons, you had to only service so many kids at a time. So I understand what you're asking me, but we prioritized because remember, we didn't know we were going to be out to May 28th. So we prioritized what we knew we needed to do. We contacted all the people we thought needed to have that immediate help to graduate. Now, what we gave you tonight is the plan going forward. I can't go back and correct everything we didn't get done this time because I didn't know I was having a but I hope the plan is plain for the board. And the first thing that has to happen, if we don't teach kids how to use technology as a part of a learning curriculum, if we're not going to know how to grade what it is they do, if we don't have a plan for securing getting them back, and that's what this whole thing that Jack did tonight, we're trying to lay out how that is going to be going forward.
Okay, so really, we're just at the ground floor. We've bought the technology, but we still have a whole system of policies and procedures to think through and figure out. And
Not really. If you look at what Jack wrote down there, look at the issues. Jack Bird, and most of you know Jack, if you wrote it on the paper, you already pretty much know. We've been working overtime to get this system in place. So that's what we've been doing. So we're not going to take another year to kind of figure this stuff out. He told you the things we have to get done. And the biggest thing we have now is a community issue of how am I going to get kids access to internet? We got the plans for the device. We have the plans for what we're going to tie to curriculum. How am I going to get kids access to internet? And that's what we're working on, which is a community issue.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of approving the purchase of the 700 laptops signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next, that brings up the purchase of Wayne New Tech ThinkPad P53 laptops. It's recommended that the board approve the purchase of 110 ThinkPad P53 laptops from Lenovo of Morrisville, North Carolina for $145,420. The purchase of 110 student laptops is for the New Tech program at Wayne. These laptops meet the special allocations for the software used in New Tech's curriculum. Fort Wayne Community Schools was able to secure pricing that was below General Services Administration pricing. Indiana law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below GSA pricing. Funding for the laptops will come from the Common School Fund loan, and Jack Bird is still with us to answer any questions. So do we have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Thanks. Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Steve. Any questions? So Jack, I assume this is because New Tech is one-to-one, and it's possible that the district can certainly learn some things from our New Tech teachers about how they've done this, but I assume so this is an annual purchase, correct?
It is.
Because there are approximately 400 students there. So
Correct.
That's approximately 100, a little over 100 laptops every year.
For the incoming freshmen.
Correct. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Okay, next that brings us to the purchase of student furniture. Steve?
Thank you, Julie. The recommendation to the board is that we approve the purchase of student furniture at 4 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school from VS America, Inc. of Charlotte, North Carolina, in the amount of $916,025.86 and Sharp School Services of Hobart, Indiana, for $129,420.85. That's the recommendation. The background information regarding this item is this purchase is going to replace older, outdated student furniture at Harrison Hill, Irwin, Weiser Park, and Young Early Childhood Center, Memorial Park, and Southside High School. The new furniture will provide the capability for teachers to configure their classrooms with ease to meet the needs for collaborative learning groups. The purchase will consist of a mixture of student desks, chairs, stools, tables, storage units for student materials, and soft, flexible seating. We were able to procure a great price, 24% below National Intergovernmental Purchasing Alliance pricing, and 10% below another listing there. State law does not require public bidding for purchases made through competitively bid contracts from these national cooperative purchasing entities. So it sounds like a really good deal. And Madam Chair, that's the recommendation to the board.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thanks, Ann. Thanks, Maria. So we have Rod Rathke, Director of Purchasing, and Get Nichols, Chief of School Leadership, with us to answer any questions.
I have a couple of questions. I was wondering, I know that there's a buyback program with some of the other items when we purchase new things. Is that the case with the furniture that we'll be replacing? Is there a buyback option, or what will we do with the furniture that's currently in all those spaces?
The furniture that's being replaced, most of it's really very old furniture for the most part, but any that is still in decent condition, we will move into other schools that maybe have furniture in even worse condition. But a lot of it is really outdated type furniture that is not really being purchased by most school districts or any that I'm really aware of. And in that case, most of that will be recycled furniture if it's, unless it can be reused somewhere. And it really does not have much of a value. And it's so old that the manufacturers that we purchased it from 20 years ago would not have that program for this.
And then my second question is, were teachers were they involved in the process of picking this furniture and selecting, what the different varieties of the furniture that we're purchasing for their classrooms?
We actually were given the opportunity to pilot some of this furniture at these schools. And so after a few months worth of use, they really found the furniture to be very conducive to the type of teaching and the type of learning environment they have now. So yes, teachers are very much on board in wanting this new furniture.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that brings us to retrofit marker board project. So it's recommended that the board approve the following construction contract for the 2020 retrofit marker board project. This is from Sharp School Services, Inc. The base bid is $209,562.20. This project consists of the installation of 546 retrofit marker boards at 20 schools. This recommendation is within the program budget. Funding for the project will be from the 2019 general obligation bond. Project specifications require the work to be completed by July 31st, 2020. As you can see there were 3 bidders for the project, and Sharp School Services was the lowest. So Director of Facilities Darren Hess is with us to answer any questions. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Glenna. Thanks, Steve. Questions?
Yeah, Darren, I know I asked you this before, but I just had a question. When you do the math, it comes out to $383 a board. That includes installation, and I'm assuming these are pretty big boards.
That is correct. It does include the installation. And I actually gave you the wrong figure before. It's any board from, some of them are as small as 6 foot up to, we have 30-foot boards at Lincoln and Arlington.
Oh, wow.
So it's very at each school and each wing when they were built, since these are retrofit boards.
Okay. Thank you, Darren.
Darren, does this end up replacing all chalkboards in our classrooms?
Yes, it does. We do have a couple holdover in 2D art where they're actually using chalk, but in the instructional display boards, they'll all be whiteboards at this point, yes.
Let it go, Julie. Let it go, Julie.
So similar to Maria's question before, what do we do with those chalkboards?
So the chalkboards actually stay in place.
Can I have one?
They actually stay in place on the wall. This is a board that gets screwed and adhered right to the existing board, so we don't have to buy a new chalk tray or map rail. Or a lot of them are combo units with the tack on top, and so these are boards that they're called retrofit that go over the top.
I gotcha. Okay, so I was wondering what the retrofit meant. So
Has anyone ever done like a cost comparison for chalk versus dry erase markers? I was just curious of how much more that would cost.
If Rod's still on, he may have that idea. I don't know.
I have not done that. So yeah, we don't really sell. We don't have. I mean, this is still a lot of boards we're replacing, but we have quite a few boards that have already been replaced, and we still sell some chalk, but we won't anymore. But it's nothing like it used to be.
I see.
Let it go, people. Let the chalk go.
I'm a chalkboard fan.
Tom was waving his hand.
well,
did you have
okay,
a question
I believe
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can now. Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I was muted there and I didn't realize it. Okay.
Right. Anything else? Okay. All those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have the 2020 Southside High School Athletic Annex Improvements. Recommend that the board approve the following construction contract for 2020 Southside High School Athletic Annex Improvements. The bid is from Schenkel Construction. The base bid is $765,500. There's an alternate bid for press box for $125,000, making the total contract $890,500. So this project consists of relocation of the softball field and new combination use press box building for both baseball and the new softball field. The project was designed by Bona Vita Architecture. The project is within the program budget, was identified in the capital projects plan, and is funded from the operations fund. Project specifications require the work to be completed by November 1st, 2020. People may recall that Southside now uses the old Elmhurst High School athletic fields for soccer, baseball, and softball. And so you can see there are 5 bidders on the project, with Schenkel Construction being the lowest. And Director of Facilities Darren Hess is still with us to answer any questions. So is there a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Maria. Questions?
I do have a question for Darren. I'm not familiar with Bonavita. Darren, who are the principals or owners of this firm? Are they Fort Wayne based?
Yes, they're Fort Wayne based. Their office actually is just across Coney Island. They're a small firm. They, um, there's only about 3 principals. This is the 3rd job with us. We worked on a couple of small jobs previously just to get our feet wet with them. So they've done a great job.
Okay, thank you.
So Darren, as someone who's familiar with the athletic complex at Elmhurst High School, so where is the softball field going to be located? I'm making a diagram as we speak.
Okay. It's just north of the existing or south of the existing baseball field. So we'll utilize the parking lot that we constructed over the top of the old tennis courts. That'll be the entrance into the complex. So to the left will be your PE blockers and restrooms. Directly in front of you will be the concession building, and to the left, then to the immediate left, will be the new softball diamond.
And there are some woods there now?
That is correct. So some of that woods will be cleared to make room for that field. About a third of it will.
Is the pond in the woods going to be gone? Because that is a mosquito breeding ground.
Yeah, we're currently working with DNR to relocate that. There's a 60-day mitigation process we have to go through, and we're waiting to hear back from that.
To relocate a pond?
It's a wetland.
Oh, a wetland.
Yeah, so it may be a regulated wetland, which we can just relocate on site, but we've made the application because of its small size to not do that, but we're just waiting to hear back.
Okay. And so what is the orientation of the new softball field? You know, when you build as you know, when you build a field like that, baseball or softball, you want to make sure the sun is never in the batter's eyes. So the orientation is determined from home plate out through center field. So what is that? What would that be?
That will be southwest towards the quarry.
Right.
So the orientation of the field is going to be southwest. Okay. Not ideal for a batter, but I guess that's better than west.
Correct. The baseball will be northwest, and then the softball will be southwest.
Right. So what about dugouts? Because the current softball field has concrete block dugouts.
Correct. So the new field will have new treated wood dugouts with metal roofing. Same thing with the press box. It's the same construction we've used at Long Road for Snyder baseball, and at Northrop High School in their baseball and softball. Or not softball there. So we found when we first started designing this project, masons were hard to come by. So we really were trying to work with materials that are have more access to available labor. So that's why concrete block really wasn't used on this project. It's not a daily use project to really use concrete block for the longevity of it. I feel comfortable with the materials we selected, but it'll be treated wood and metal roofing.
Is there going to be a back on the dugouts?
Yes, there'll be a back, but the top approximately 16 inches will be open for ventilation, just under the eave.
And how, because I don't have a diagram or anything in front of me, so what's the length of them? What's the width of them?
I can get you that information. I did send you a plan just before the meeting.
Well, I'm on my
but I can get that information.
Device. So are we talking at least 20 feet wide? I mean, length?
It'd have to be.
Well, when they were originally built, they were not.
Darren, I think you got some follow-up stuff, but Julie, maybe look at what he sent you, because we were kind of rushing to, we got your email and then Darren wasn't notified by me in time. But I think I know he sent it. We'll see.
Okay, so so tell me about so there's going to be addition to the current press box, the current baseball press box. Is that what I?
So the dugouts are 54 feet long.
Awesome.
It's like 14 feet deep. The baseball press box in itself was ready to be demolished. We're not able to use 90% of it. It's in very, very poor shape. So
I believe that.
That's why we started this idea of a master plan for the park to utilize a press box that can be used and oriented for both baseball and softball, because the location of it also will allow us to have centralized parking, centralized gates, ADA accessibility, able to use the same concession and restroom facilities. So the existing baseball had to be dealt with anyways, the press box. So this new one will have a dual purpose for both.
What happens if baseball and softball are playing on the same night? Because, when you get into season, sometimes you're playing both teams are playing Monday through Thursday.
Well, currently right now, the plan is to not schedule them on the same nights. They do it the same way. They do that same thing with soccer right now. They have boys and girls soccer using the same field and the same press box. The press box is used, or we'll have two separate PA systems. There's two different windows, one that is towards baseball and one towards softball. We've never ran the numbers for parking to see if we could support it both on the same night. But logistically, with what we have out there, other than parking, I believe we could do so.
Okay, well, they will be playing on the same night. That's, with those sports, you just can't avoid it. And as you know, so what about that outbuilding that softball currently has right now, that barn? Is that going to be moved so they can still use it?
We're looking at that possibility. We're providing storage at one end of the dugouts, but yeah, we can relocate that barn. It's movable.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Just one minor comment, and it is about the orientation of home plate. I think that in Major League Baseball, and I'll use Parkview Field as a perfect example, it's located in the southwest corner.
Right.
I would
Northeast.
argue it's the southwest corner home plate.
Yeah, but the orientation of the field is northeast.
Well, let me get to that point. When day baseball was the only time that baseball was played, the orientation of the field was more important. And with night games, it's going to be less of an issue. So
we don't play night games, Steve.
Well, you
Softball,
don't play at
baseball.
1:20 but you don't play in the afternoon either, at high noon. That's
Sure
my
they do.
point.
Sure they do. Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday doubleheaders. Every Saturday is doubleheader day.
Oh, okay, I'll drop it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I'm glad to see we're taking care of this and that we have a master plan for the entire complex. They'll appreciate having restrooms nearby, believe me. So all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we have no reports. And so we will, we next meet on Monday, May 11th at 6 p.m. We may be meeting this way again. That remains to be seen. So board member comments. I guess we'll just do that the same as if we were in the boardroom. So Steve, you want to go first?
Yes, I just wanted to thank those parents and patrons who participated on Facebook. I counted, it shows me 55 participants, including Alicia Lopez, Kirsten Brazier, Annette Bowen, and others. And I know that some of you received immediate replies from staff. There may be other questions that may be good for us to follow, but I thank you for listening and making your comments known. I feel very blessed because I'm sitting here in my home with 3 devices. I'm speaking to you with my iPad and connecting through Zoom. I've got my MacBook Air to my left, and I'm looking at Facebook on my phone. I'm lucky, and there are those families that Dr. Robinson talked about, the 30 or 40% of our families who don't have that ability. And so I just want to make sure that as we move forward, Jack has laid out the technology plan with respect to hardware, but we really have to work as a school district, school community in engaging the city in making sure that every family has internet access. It may take us a year or two. We really have to work toward that because learning will not be the same in the future as it has been in the past. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Glenna?
I just want to say in conclusion that again, this unexpected crisis was thrust upon us, and the district and the teachers and everybody have been trying their best to make the best of the situation, which a lot of districts all across the U.S. are grappling with. And again, we want to recognize the efforts that the teachers are putting in and the staff is putting in. And I just hope that the parents and the families out there will hang in there. We will get through this. And there is going to be a new school year. And hopefully the reentry will be well thought out and planned so that we will be able to make up some ground and move forward from here.
Thanks, Glenna. Tom?
Over the past several weeks, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to visit all the elementary schools in Fort Wayne, where they were passing out the free meals, the free lunches. And it was a great service. And I talked to a lot of people at these sites, and it was going very, very well. And this is one of the great services that we have provided to the community. And one of the other things that was so impressive to me was that every one of these sites, there was either a police officer was there, the firefighter was there, the deputy sheriff, and their presence was so reassuring to all the people who showed up. And I don't know that that is very much well known in the community, but all of those public safety agencies deserve a big round of applause and a shout out for being at those sites. And it just makes all the difference in the world to the people and the children who come there. And this has been a great service that Fort Wayne Community Schools have been providing. And I thank all of them, not only just for myself, but also on behalf of the school board. I want you to know that. And it's going to keep going on, and it's a great service. And thank you, one and all.
Thanks, Tom. Maria?
I just wanted to say thank you to all of our teachers and our principals. I know that our teachers work tirelessly to educate our students, and I feel like this pandemic has only increased their involvement. They're taking phone calls at night. They're Zooming when parents are available to connect and make sure everyone's on the same page. So I know I've seen that some teachers feel as though they're working 24 hours a day. If they're not, actively speaking to someone, then they're worrying about their students. So I just wanted to say thank you to those principals who have helped guide those staff members and the teachers. Teachers, thank you for being brave enough to Zoom with 26 small humans. I can't imagine what that is like. Thank goodness there's a mute all button. But thank you. I know teachers have sent cards and stickers to students. They've really just gone above and beyond, like I know our teachers always do. But they have adapted so well to this new normal that I just wanted to say thank you so much to all those principals and all the teachers. Thank you to the nutrition services for providing thousands of meals on a daily basis. I know lots of families in our community have appreciated those meals. And just one last thought, as a community, we are walking through this pandemic together. And I just want to remind everybody that this isn't anything that any of us have dealt with before, and that we need to remember to love one another and to show each other a little bit of grace and to support one another. Each family in our community has been impacted by this pandemic in some way. So just please reach out to families and neighbors and make sure that everybody's okay. It might not be like Steve mentioned, he feels blessed, I feel blessed, but there are families that have lost jobs. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. And this is the time that we really just need to support one another and love one another. So just remember to connect and we'll get through this.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Ann?
Next week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I know that a lot of times PTAs have meals and treats and things like that for staff. And I know that our PTSA at Snyder is still planning on doing something special for our teachers because they have been working in different conditions, extra hard, and it's been quite the journey. But I'm going to attempt to share my screen, and I want to play one of my favorite poems. I'm sure many of you have heard this before. It's fairly old, but it's one of my favorites. So let me try this.
There you go.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Sort of.
Yeah. Now we do.
So
That's great.
I think that's great. I love that one. So teachers, thank you very much for what you do. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. That's my favorite Peanuts cartoon too. I think it's Linus and Pat, or Charlie Brown and Patty or something. One of them says, "What do teachers make?" And the other one says, "A difference."
Exactly.
Yeah. Dr. Robinson?
A couple things while we have the audience. Every day we listen to the governor, and one of the things that we are looking to do is to almost think about a reentry plan, because while school has a definite ending, administrators and teachers never go. So we'll share that. We're not quite to the point of figuring out what that looks like, because so much of what we can do depends on the governor. But you can tell from the states around us and what's happening in the country, we expect for there to be some type of reentry. I hope they never say to normal, because we won't ever get back to normal again. So we are working on that. One thing that is a constant question is what are we going to do with graduation? We are being so creative. I'm starting to worry about us because I think one of those milestones is graduation, and it depends on the stay at shelter in place and some of those types of things. But I just want to let parents know we got it. We don't know yet all the things that we're going to be able to do, but we know the gowns are ordered and all those other kinds of things, and we're making plans to safely have some acknowledgement of 13 years of schooling. We also have massive plans in place, and Darren it's almost like an Army maneuver, because we've got to get kids' materials back to them, and then we've got to get our materials back from them. So Mary Hess, who is one of those unsung heroes, is really kind of helping us make sure that whatever we do is safe. Because one of the things I think the board and I have to really talk about even more is that while people are concerned now, what we're doing for them this minute, we're going to get lots of questions about whether when it's time to come back, it's safe. So we also are putting plans in place to make sure that parents are comfortable, and not just parents, but staff will be comfortable as we re-enter, and we have no idea what the pandemic will look like. Trying to look at summer programming when we were talking about the gaps and what kids are missing, trying to see what we could do with technology to maybe get some makeup work done. We don't have those plans yet. But the one thing that will continue is the summer feeding. So we're working to see if the park board's going to have their plan. If the park board's not feeding, parents, Fort Wayne Community Schools will be feeding. And we'll probably follow the same process we're using now. We're in conversations with the city. Faye's doing that to see. But we'll make sure that that happens. Talked a little bit about the reentry plan, but I just want to give another shout out to the number of people who have put their own safety at risk to make sure that we're trying to do the best we can for parents. And Maria, I just want to say I appreciate what you said, because this pandemic is bringing out either that good American caring for everybody, or people are just getting so frustrated. The first person they can yell at, they do that. So we want your comments. We want you to let us know when things aren't working. But I can honestly say I can't push people any harder. Because at the same time that they're trying to service kids in the community, they're people too, and they're trying to figure out how all of this is impacting them. So thank you, Maria, for those words, because I think we need to remind each other of that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. And I would just like to echo everyone else's comments and thanks to all of our staff, not only teachers, but principals, assistant principals, counselors, still dealing with senior issues and senior graduations, and our IT staff, food staff, you know, the number of things and the complexities that I think our staff have to deal with. Just hearing you, Dr. Robinson, talking about, you know, how we're going to safely have students pick up their things that they've left behind in schools. And you know, how do you, I mean, that's a massive, for a high school, I mean, even some of our other schools, that's a massive undertaking to do safely. So we've just got a lot of staff that are working on these kinds of issues daily, and I want to thank them. And also, you know, a thanks to our parents and grandparents and family members who didn't have it on their life journey to become teachers all of a sudden. And I know it's not easy and it's a struggle, but like a couple other people said, you know, we'll get through this. You know, we'll be okay. And I would say trust teachers to deal with students when they greet them in one way or another in the fall, and to get them up to speed and get them on track. I'm confident that we'll be able to do that. The board has also been doing some work since we closed school. So we have completed our superintendent interviews, and we think that we're still working on a timeline, but we think that we will be able to introduce the next superintendent to the community, I would say, before sometime in the first half of May. And again, it depends a lot on what happens, of whether our how much our state opens up or not. But we hope to get that done. So we next meet. The next board meeting is May 11th, and we have 2 meetings in May 11th and the 18th. So some of the questions that people have put on Facebook Live, hopefully we'll be able to answer those then, and answer some more questions. I think we'll probably have graduation worked out by then, Dr. Robinson. So we'll be able to get that information out to the public. So that's all I have. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Maria. Thanks, everyone, by the way, staff, for putting this together. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And hopefully we'll all continue to stay safe and healthy. So all those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay.
Folks.
I think I saw somewhere where they need a